made it law, or signed that bill, and asked that the forest guards be armed and support in safeguarding our forests and dislodging criminal elements who have made the forest their home. A lot of questions have been asked about how are these activities being carried out? How is the recruitment process like? Who is in charge in the various zones of the country? Well, this morning on the show, we're going to have that conversation. We'll find out what's happening within the forest guard, what the security is like, of the safety of our forests are, especially in Rivers State, because we'll be speaking with the zonal commander. And beyond Rivers State, the country at large, how are the forest guards working with security operatives, local security outfits, communities to safeguard our forests? And most importantly, would you want to be a forest guard? Would you want to be a forest guard? In recent times, they had about 7,000 guards, I think between December last year and early parts of this year. 7,000 that graduated because they had the training that was ongoing for a while. And then about 7,000 guards between December and now. They've been defined now, integrated into the national security architecture of the country. Most significant is some of the areas that they've been deployed to go function: Kwara, Plateau, Benue, Kogi, Nasarawa, Niger. And the goal is majorly to, support security agencies, tackle insurgents who are causing mayhem in the northern parts of the country. My guest this morning is Dr. Ambassador Nwanchukwu Adah, is the Deputy Commander General, Nigeria Forest Guard Security Service. Sir, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, everyone.
All right, thank you for joining us. Happy New Year. We should say that as well. It's the first time we're having you here this year, so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay. Let us start first with the recent appointment of the new IG. I'm saying this because I know that you have some sort of personal relationship with him and you've worked with him at different levels. So what should we expect from the new IG? And from your knowledge of working with him, what should Nigerians be looking out for?
Well. I must say I'm one of the happiest Nigerian to see what President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is doing. Appointing him as the IG of Inspector General Police of this country is one of the best things that happened to this country at this time. I know him too well. He was the Commissioner of Police, Rivers State, and I worked closely with him. Within the short time I worked with him, I think we got the result. Let me use Abako killing 1-2 Baba and the gang member at Ahoda that killed the DPO of Ahoda, Abako. He's one. In fact, he inherited he inherited the investigation, and they came to meet me in the hospital. Why my body, I had a bond and my body was still fresh. He sent somebody to meet me. When they told him that this is the right person to go for this operation, they came to me and he used one language when I met him. He said, "Look at the way you look. You are still fresh and want to do this job. But anyway, I want the job to be done." And I think he gave everything it takes to go for that mission. And I tell you, today, Baba is no more. It's because such a commissioner of police who determined to fight crime did his best.
So in other words, that's what we believe that he would be doing at the level of
Man,
IG
you
now.
will see what will happen in the less than 1 or 2 months. You will see what will happen.
All right, while we'll wait for that, let's come to the forest guards now. Is recruitment on or is recruitment done? Because I know that there was a batch and then training was on at that time. What's happening now, especially in Rivers State? Let's localize it.
Forest guard, Forest guards, I want to clarify something to the public today.
Okay.
The name forest guard is people who guide the forest, which is we that guide the forest. We are known as forest guards.
Yeah.
You know, recruitment is based on any state that the governor and the government of the state are ready to be trained. It is after the training. The recruitment is based on the numbers of the people who are supposed to be trained in the state. The federal government are to take responsibility for 1,000 personnel of the state. Then, if the governor feel that my state is big, and I think we need more of personnel, it will be a discussion between the federal government and the state government. And that is when we call recruitment, is when we are ready for training, and the NSA is ready with the state governor. After meeting up all the inquiring, the training will commence. The recruitment is based on how many people their name appears in the training list. So there is nothing like going to start recruiting people
in Rivers State now.
Yes, selling form, doing ID card. Of course, you can never have ID card in the name of forest guard. You can't.
So anybody with that now in Rivers State is not.
ID card called forest guard, it is illegal, and you'll be arrested immediately. There's nothing. We have forest guard. Yes, this forest guard. For some of us who are into hunting, Nigerian Hunter and Forest Security Public, who must force to approval of the assembly, the Nigerian Forest Security Service. So all of us who is already in this structure. I am the most senior officer as long as this state is concerned, Rivers State, and I am a Rivers person. You understand? So why we are still working on looking at our governors and the government of Rivers State to fully put themselves in order and decide on when the training will commence. We are amending what is going on right now in Rivers State. Forest guard is an indigenous something. It has to do with indigenes of different communities and states. So everybody go back to their states and do the needful, especially except you are a non-indigene who has been contributing in local security of the area. If you have lived there for a very long time and you are part of the vigilante, for example, and all that, and you're part of forest security service, or hunter who forest security service, yes, you are eligible to be part of this thing. But the leadership of forest guard, it is indigenous thing.
Okay.
Now, when a non-indigenous, like in Rivers State, Edo State man, I don't know how, I am a Muslim officer, but I cannot tell you I know how he came in to become a commander of Forest Security Service of Rivers State, which I said no. The way we get our commander is I, as a senior officer, will liaise with our stakeholders and the government of the state and nominate a commander. But for now, that commander has nothing to do with forest guard. When the time for the training, as I speak to you, trainings are going on.
In other states, in different states.
Yes, different states. Even Edo was supposed to go for, I think, training.
So what is
from now till next week? I think Edo will go.
In Rivers State, what's the
Edo State man who has been parading himself as a commander of Forest Security Service in Rivers State need to go back to his state. And I am saying this so that the government of Rivers State, our dear Governor Fuin Fubara, and the government of Rivers State will see and hear that as we speak, Edo State man who have no knowledge of our forestal region, who has nothing to do with local security of our area, who have never caught any criminal before in his locality, even in the community where he stays, is now find his way into becoming a commander, which I, as senior officer, say no, it will not happen in the state. A state, we have people retired DCP, we have retired colonel, we have retired brigadier generals, we have people who have the knowledge of security, who are ready to serve and take over as commandant or leader or coordinator of forest guard here in Rivers State.
Okay, well said. We have a short commercial coming in a matter of moments. We'll take that commercial. When we come back, you talk to us, because when you say it's indigenous, it's local, we need to understand how safe are the forests in Rivers State. And do we have forest areas in councils that are of particular concern that you have observed in the course of your work? All of that details after this very short commercial. If you just tuned in, Nigeria Info, the Morning Crossfire continues shortly. On Facebook, we are live at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, or you send a WhatsApp message to 0809 Good morning. All right, the conversation continues here on the Morning Crossfire. My name is Ifiemi Andrew, and we have Ambassador Nwanchukwu Adah still here with us, Zonal Commander, Nigeria Forest Security. And he has clearly said that there's no recruitment for forest guards in Rivers State, at least for now. And he's also highlighted the process involved and the parties involved before we can now look at recruiting and training forest guards in Rivers State. But in other states of the Federation, a few of them, Zamfara, Kwara, and other parts of the north, we have that going on. And some people even have finished training and have been put out to help security agencies tackle the problems that are facing those respective areas. Thank you very much, sir, for your time with us. Before the commercial, I said we're going to find out from you in Rivers State if there are local governments with forests of particular concern that you have seen in the course of your work.
Of course, there are so many local governments that our forestal region is hostile. The farmers are complaining, the fishermen, the banga cutters, the timber cutters, and so many people who delay their living in the forestal regions are being complaining. Oyibo, for example, Oyibo local government is where we encounter face-to-face insurgents. We are there with the police, with the army. That day, the bandits came out and were shooting sporadically. And thank God for our readiness, because we have to face it with them. And at the end of the day, we defeated them per se, because we went away with the people we went in with, and it was just minor casualty.
Was it the community that called you to what was happening in Oyibo, or the
course,
council?
Of course, everybody's complaining. Then the Ikwere local government, we all heard what happened. The secretary of the community was stabbed to death by Awosas. They came out in mass from different bushes, and at the end of the day, they moved back to the bush. Immediately they finished the mayhem. If we look for who to arrest before the security agents come, you don't see anybody to arrest.
So I'm guessing in this case, it's basically those individuals from the north, because many would say, you can't say all households are involved. They have to be some of them who are...
Let me restrain my decision. I call them criminals. Okay. I know, even when you say S-men have good S-men. There are S-men that are laying their cow peacefully without no problem. They are even praying that such problems should not come about. I call them criminals. That is how I classify all of them who cause mayhem and all that. They are all criminals. So those criminals that mostly from the north, because all of them speak ourselves. So mostly from the north that is causing me. See what happened there. Then the one that happened here, here in Port Harcourt, is so a Benue man was stabbed to death. Benue is middle bed, we all know. He was stabbed to death by ourselves. It also happened that way. I honestly, in our Oba Ebe Mandoni local government, something also happened last time. Our youth president was taken to the forest and beheaded. Imagine,
But that wasn't done by people. That wasn't done by people from the north.
Heaven. Forest is always a safe haven. What I'm trying to say is that these areas, forest
is where people commit crimes in the forest.
Yes, this is the reason why forest guard has to be trained with immediate effect.
What of the HA axis? Because we've had several reports of people one chance kidnapping and they take them to the bushes somewhere in HA.
All those places are safe haven. When I mean criminals, I am talking of general crime committers, those people that are into crime. What we are talking about is that our forest areas are being so hostile that our farmers are complaining bitterly. So many farmers does not go to their land. We're no longer talking about the economic sabotage where the anti-bunkering activity goes on, damage the land, and they chase people out of the bushes. Now we are complaining. Thank God for Tompolo, Tantita intervention, and some other contractors who have make sure, people like me too, that have make sure that the area of pipeline is free from bunkering activity. Right now we're not talking about bunkering. We are not talking about S-men, this criminal S-men, criminal activities, one chance and all that. That's what we're talking about now. Our forests are hostile. If anybody don't say it, I will say it. I'm not talking about community. Our community may be peaceful, but some of these things that I just mentioned that happen inside these communities, it is from the forest. They did it and run back to the forest. If the forest is safe, the community, the securities in charge of communities will take charge of communities. If you are in charge of the community, are you in charge of your forest? So now I am calling on the state governor, our beloved governor, Governor Sim Fubara. I am calling on the state government to please, with immediate effect, train forest guard, liaise with the NSA, and let forest guard be trained in River State.
Right. I was going to ask that because you say you require the state government with the NSA and then all the other stakeholders before training can commence. So since you're calling on the state governor, it simply means that there's not been a meeting between yourself and the government to look at how to commence
Yes,
this.
I am also using the opportunity to call on the state government. We need to be invited. I am, as the most senior officer in the state, need to be invited by governor himself. You need to be briefed.
Have you written to the governor to try to maybe written to the government?
This is not the first time I'm saying it here, but I think we are also working on, the state, and how the state has been all this while. The governor himself has been busy from one place to the other. You don't blame him, because of but thank God for the peace that the state is enjoying today. I just the chief of staff, the secretary, and some other key appointee are just appointed, so the government will start running. I'm sure Fubara will make something better at the end of the day, and that is why I'm calling on him to see how we can meet. I will send another letter now. This is the right time to send more letters and to reach him, and I'm sure by the grace of God we'll meet. And I'm also ensuring him that the structure is already on ground. They already structured our youth that came out massively, who has been doing this, local securities and all that, different vigilantes and all that. It's not made for a particular person or a particular organization. It is made for the youth of River State. And youth of River State are ready as I speak.
Okay, let's take a few calls before we go on with more questions. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, and 0817-923-0007. Any of those numbers are numbers to call to join us this morning, so you can direct the questions to my guest, or tell us if you would want to be a forest guard. If the opportunity presents itself, would you want to? And hopefully after we take some questions, we'll come to funding. That's a very important part. What's happening with funding? The last time we spoke, there wasn't too much positive news with regards to that. Magnus is in Mount 3. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. Andrew.
All right, go on, Magnus.
To your special guest in the studio.
Good morning, brother.
Very quickly, I want to say that forest guard has been mentioned is a welcome development, but I have reservations. One of my fears is the ability of the organizers or coordinators of this program to be able to synergize with our local communities. If you agree, I am from River State, and I know that our communities are very fragile when it comes to destination. Conflict of interest and communities who differ from what is happening on ground. How sure are we that when this program commences, there will be synergy between the coordinators or the organizers of this program and the communities, various communities we have in River State, especially where we have the stick forests.
All right.
And secondly, the funding. How are they going to fund it? Because we have seen stations where this kind of program comes up, not this kind, but at the end of the day, the funding will be a problem, either from the federal government or the state government. It will be a problem, and you see people who were employed will not be paid, and they'll be crying here and there. So how sure are we that when this thing comes up, there will be synergy within the federal government, within the organizers, and within the people that are peace in the state, so that we don't escalate another crisis in the River State?
All right, Magnus, thank you. Wonderful questions will be responded to. Let's hear from Leighton Barry first. Leighton Barry, good morning.
Good morning, Ifiemi Andrew.
Yes, go on.
Good morning to the guests.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, I think several times issues concerning the forest guard has been discussed on this platform. I think by this same man in the studio. But to me, I have been able to observe within communities and other places. I have not much heard about this forest guard. and I've not actually seen their activities so much, but much has been said about them. However, since there is a plan from the federal government as regards to state police, I want to ask, is it that this forest guard you're talking about will be converted to state police, or there is a means of, recruiting this state police through the police or through the state government? I just want to know about this.
All right, Leitambari, thank you. But I think it's the forest guy. It's clear what their provisions are and what the bill that was presented that established them was clear on what their work is. My guest to respond anyways, but let's also take two more calls before we come to my guest to respond. The numbers again are 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0002, or 0817-923-0007. Dakuku Inechie, good morning. Hello, Dakuku, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Ifiemi Andrew.
Good morning, Dakuku. Go on, please.
Good morning, Adah, here in the studio.
Good morning, my brother.
This is Dakuku from Apokichi. I want to ask a question first.
Please go ahead.
This forest guy, can he be able to stop bandits and kidnapping, keeping in the forest by those who have a forest in their community? This is the question I want to ask first. And then all these people that were employed as the forest guard, why not employ those who from that community, who be able to invade the bush, who go to bush like most of the hunters in the community? Involving those in the city who cannot go to village, who cannot go to their forest community to know where the bush is or not. They employ those because of man no man, employing in the community, with those in the city. Those in the community, who the hunters in the community, who invade the area, know when the kidnappers are added, know this. Why not do that? Let me
all right, Dakuku.
That's the question I want to ask.
JJ, good morning.
Yeah, Andrew, good morning.
Yeah.
You remember the incident in Omoko, where they said the barrister was flogged by a masquerade in display, and he went to the left, mobilized hunters. Andrew, I repeat, mobilized hunters with their guns, and they came to where masquerade was displaying and was shooting in the air, and the barrister allegedly, let me just use that word, now took one of the hunter's gun and fire at somebody. Andrew, remember this story I'm telling you in Omoko, right? And at the end of the day, somebody was shot dead. That now led to another reprisal that even led to youth chairman being beheaded and all those. This one, you people have not started though. You have started borrowing gun out to people who are not authorized to carry guns, now shooting into air and disrupting people. By the time you people now come in proper, what do you think will happen? As far as I'm concerned, we are creating more problems, trying to solve a problem by putting guns everywhere. Andrew, before now we have the police and the DSS and all the military carrying guns. Now they are brought in what they call these people, civil defense. They started carrying guns. Crime increased. We want to bring forest guys to carry gun again. More crime has increased. They have not started. Tomorrow, I don't get this whole thing. Let us get state police and knock off all this other stuff so that everybody can rest once and for all.
All right, JJ, thank you very much. Let's get the response of my guests. So several questions, but I think some of them we already touched on them before. One, Dakuku was talking about having people from the local communities recruited into the forest guard. One of the persons talked about funding, which was a question I was going to ask you. How are we funding? And then he also talked about liaising with the communities, the relationship between forest guard and community stakeholders.
Let me quickly look. The funding on, I think it will come last, because that basically is for the state and the federal government to answer that and to take the advice. I think you that. They say when you are misinformed, when you don't get the right information, you are misinformed. You act without if you act without investigation to confirm, you act wrongly. What our brother said, let me start from the Omoko where I'm from, about the barrister and the shooting and all that. The information that somebody was killed, it is the correct information. But saying that hunters were mobilized. They took gun, they shoot and all that. Honestly, that is a misinformation. Some of us were in the community when it happened, and we ran to the place and saw what happened. It was very bad incident. But
what happened?
What happened is that a certain barrister and a security group. We are not hunter. When you say hunter, we have hunter association.
Okay.
We are not hunters.
Okay.
So the barrister can tell more better who and who he was with and what that happened. But I think on that story it has nothing to do with us.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with us.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing to do with us.
Right.
But it truly happened. But it was a really stunning tragedy. About 8 people were touched. One of them died. The rest are still receiving treatment. And that is not exactly what led to the president killing. According to except the person is telling us they have investigated and confirmed why our youth president was killed and beheaded.
Okay, had nothing to do with that incident.
We can be invited to come and please give us the information, because we need more information to arrive at what happened and make sure the people face the full wrath of the law.
Okay.
Secondly, on the issue of recruiting the community, the locals, the community, the man that suggested that is quite right. Because one, just like what I said, how can an Edo State person come to command River State Forest? What we are talking about, maybe some of you don't understand. It is not about giving more arms or creating more securities and all that. Civil defense are in charge of government facilities, and today they have also been given tasks of guiding VIPs or whatever. But the forest guard as security on ungoverned state. Where is ungoverned state? Forest. This is securities that will be in the forest, your forestal region. This is, if there's anything that happen in the bushes, you have security to be blamed.
So if the police wants to do something in the forest, it will need to also work with them.
Police, Army, Navy, Air Force need to consult. They need us. All of the department needs our services. Because the forest, we are the one to give her the information and say, look at where and where, look at how the forest look like. Anybody coming to be recruited or join the forest guard must be ready to go to the forestal region and have idea of the forest. You must be ready to stay in the forest as long as. In fact, as forest guard, you don't need to be seen always in the street. You don't need to create any checking point, except is some of these express that if you are traveling very far from the middle of the road, you see just like forest, the right and left are forest, no building, that is also part of the forest guard. And they are hostels in that area. The forest guard can go and man checking point in the middle of the bush, where if you go, you know that you are entering the bush and you are meeting forest guard along the road leading to the forest area. So these are areas. We are not made to come and operate in the street and come and they as a forest, as a human being, we live in the town. We can be coming out even with our arms and our men to come to homes, sleep at home. If you are not on duty, you can patrol, whatever. But we discuss our matters with the government security agency in their different offices, how we can go into the forest and execute plans. Secondly, the hunters are very important, the fishermen are very important, the banga cutter, the timber cutter, all that work in the forest are number one intelligent of forest guard. They are number one intelligent, because the farmers will be there. I remember when I went to Meduguri for operation and Sambisa forest. Some of you see the videos. I went to, when we are moving, there's a place we get to, we went about 196 bikes. When we get to a particular point, the very distant from the, but we are still seeing farmers. And each of the farmers will do you like this. You will give us signal. As we are going, we are getting signal from the farmers. The farmers are the intelligent of forest guard, and they will be made intelligent of forest guard. The hunters, the banga cutters who climb on top of the tree to see what is going on. These are the people allowed to move freely in the forest, and from them you will get the good intelligence. I'm sure our forestal region will be guided. So forest guard is all about forest, and we are to guide our forest and not to come and roam around the street.
All right, we'll take one more call before we wrap up. Precious in Port Harcourt. Oh, we lost the call from Precious. On WhatsApp, several messages. This one says, kudos to your guest. He's doing a great job. He deserves encouragement and support. And before Ernest, you sent that one in. This one says, your guest said if you have if you have lived in Rivers State for a long time, and it didn't just say live, I think you said if you have lived in Rivers State for a long time and have been contributing to security of the area you live, maybe you've been part of the vigilante group or you've been, then it also makes you eligible to, be recruited into the forest guard when that time comes. And he says, so why does he have a complaint about somebody from another state? I think it's also clear. The person from another state, he says, I've not lived here. I think he's went to the Edo place. He says he's confused. He says the person from Edo State hasn't lived here in River State before, and has not been part of security activities in River State. That's Chris Pamvi. I hope you understand it now. So it's not just about living here. If you have lived here as it concerns security, you should have had some contributions.
We have local security who have been contributing.
So in the next few seconds, what should we expect in the next few seconds as we wrap up from the forest guard?
I'm sure with the arrangement on ground, sooner or later, forest guard will be trained. We are coordinating. I am also coordinating, researching people who are capable, who have been in local security for a very long time. And I think if they want to talk of vigilante or local security group, have played major role in this state. Major role. That if not number one man that started it. So what I'm trying to say is that we need the right people to be taken, and we're calling on the federal government to the NSA and the state government to please facilitate River State Forest Guard to be trained and equipped. And I'm also calling on each and every one of you who think you can rob people, dupe people in the name of Forest Guard. If you know anybody rob and dupe you, ask you to contribute any money. Forest Guard cannot ask you to contribute any money. So if you know anybody takes you money, you want to be part of Forest Guard and they take money from you, please report. My phone number is always aired to you.
You can call the numbers.
Please. You don't need to be taking money for any reason in the name of Forest Guard. You are to work, you are to be trained, you are to be paid, and not to contribute money. Thank you. My number is 081 377 47051. 081 377 47051.
Thank you very much for your time. My name is Ifiemi Andrew. Hello, Port Harcourt is next. Good morning.